Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sugar Mama's Fire Play. I am your host, financial planner, Canna Campbell, and today we're talking about something deeply personal, but also something incredibly important for some people out there right now who really need to hear this. And that is, what would I do if I had to start all over again as a single mum, rebuilding my financial independence from scratch, from ground zero, from nothing? Now, becoming a single mum, or I include single dads in this, of course, as well, whether it's through choice or circumstance, is one of the biggest transitions anyone can go through. It is scary. There is uncertainty. There is a huge amount of financial pressure, and of course, the emotional challenges. But here's what I want you to know. This is also an opportunity, and I'm speaking from personal experience as well as professional experience. This is your chance to build a financial life on your own terms. A life where you are in control, you don't need to compromise with anyone else, and a life where you make powerful strategic decisions that set you up for long-term success. And most importantly, a life where you feel financially independent, strong, and so proud of the journey you've taken. So today I'm going to share with you 7 key steps that I would take if I found myself having to start all over again as a single mum. Now, these aren't just like ideas or theories. These are actually practical, actionable steps that you can use right now to help take control of your money and shift your headspace as you move towards a more financially secure future for yourself, but also for your children. So let's get started. Step number 1, mindset. So this very first step isn't actually about money, which I know may come to you as a surprise. And we will get to money in a second, I promise. But there's something we need to explore first, go deep with, before we can flourish. When I became a single mum, I had many moments of fear and anxiety and so much self-doubt, and my self-worth was pretty much in the bin. And on top of that, my ex-husband laughed in my face. He was so smug. And I remember him saying to me that I wouldn't be able to survive without him financially, that I was going to drown in the debt that I had to take on to get out of the marriage, out of the relationship, and that I couldn't even take the bins out on my own. So how was I possibly going to survive, let alone survive successfully? It was horrible. It was such a depressing and terrifying moment for myself. But, and this is the important thing here that comes to mindset, I also realized that dwelling in this space wouldn't serve me in any positive way whatsoever and was really a complete waste of my time and energy. So I had to stop giving that theory or that idea or that opinion of just his any more fuel. So what did I do? Instead, I shifted my focus as to what I could actually control, my perspective, my actions, and my goals, really tapping into my thoughts, feelings, and actions. So what I recommend you do, if you are struggling right now, and you're in the thick of the unknown, and you're feeling self-doubt or just anxious right now, can I suggest that you write down 5 to 7 simple blessings that will come your way with this new chapter in your life. Now, I'm going to share with you some of my own examples and give you examples to help get you started with doing this. So number 1, saying to yourself, this situation is actually going to force me to be better with money. You're now on your own 2 feet. You are completely responsible for yourself. So it's going to really make you go deep with this financial literacy work and getting smarter with money and making great decisions, which is only a good thing that's going to serve your long-term financial well-being. Number 2, I am setting an incredible example for my children about resilience and independence. As your children see you trying to stand on your own 2 feet and eventually standing on your own 2 feet, and of course, without a doubt, thriving on your own 2 feet, you are planting really powerful seeds in their minds. And they are going to look at you with such admiration. And they are going to learn through example by watching you from the sideline. Please never forget that. And of course, you can have slip-ups, you can have setbacks. We all do, including myself. You're only normal. But keeping your chin up, your head up high, You are an incredible role model to your children to never settle or compromise. Number 3, every decision I will make, you will make, will be 100% based on what is best for me and, of course, what is best for you and your family. Feel proud about that. Feel empowered by that sense of control and direction where you are driving the car now. Number 4, I, as in you, will become smarter, stronger, and a more financially independent woman or man. There are only good things that are going to come from this financially. Number 5, my journey will inspire and empower others around me. As I always like to say, energy is contagious. As people see you doing the work, having a crack, standing on your own 2 feet, dealing with setbacks and challenges with grace, with dignity, whether you realize it or not, you are and you will inspire people around you. You will see shifts in people. They may not necessarily bring it to your attention, but trust me, they're watching, and they're watching with incredible admiration. You are a powerful being. Please don't ever forget that. So by investing time, exploring your mindset, it helps set the foundation for everything else in your life. And it will allow you to shift from fear to empowerment. In fact, help you snap out of those toxic, negative, self-degrading chats that you have with yourself and allow you to take back control. Now, once you've done this and you've written down those blessings, you might want to take a moment to print it off or to handwrite it, put it somewhere where you can read it on a regular basis to remind you whenever you're having a bad day or a bad moment, go to it, reread it to help you find your inner strength again. Step number 2. Time to create a budget and a cash flow system. So once you've sorted out your mindset and you realize, actually, I feel a little bit stronger today, or I feel a little bit more resilient, or I feel a little bit more hopeful. Amazing. Great. I'm so proud of you. We now need to do some more practical work, and that is create a budget and a cash flow system. Now, the goal here when you're doing your budget in this particular step is not about cutting costs yet. We will come to that, I promise, but right now, doing a budget is focused around gaining clarity in your life, finding out exactly how much it costs you to live right now. Where exactly is your money going? Does it match your value system? And of course, what are the absolute essentials in your life that you need right now to live and for your children to live? The non-negotiables. Now, by sitting down and mapping this out, and I strongly recommend you don't just sit down and write down your expenses, you actually cross-reference it against the truth and reality of your bank transactions and your credit card statements, because this will then allow you to have a crystal clear understanding of what your financial reality really looks like. That is exactly how much money we really do spend on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, and of course, annual basis. You need to go back a full 365 days of the year to see the truth and reality of how much money you need. And I want to say this, a budget is not about restriction. It's about empowerment. It puts you back in the driving seat so you know exactly what you need financially to survive. And of course, what areas need your attention and how can you start managing your cash flow in a proactive way so that you're always resilient. And you can, of course, make adjustments at any time that you like. The other great benefit of budgets, and I think a lot of people forget about this and they don't discover this until they've actually done it properly, and that is doing a budget helps you avoid that financial overwhelm because a budget allows you to know your numbers. You get crystal clear about what you need and what you spend your money on. And because of that, you can then make informed decisions rather than reacting emotionally to money stress. Now, when you're doing your budget, you also need to build a cash flow system. A budget is great, but it's only half the work. A budget, if you're not following it and sticking to it, is really just a piece of paper. It's an intention, but you're not actually following it. So this is why I recommend you build a cash flow system where you set up a system that gives you clear instructions as to what money goes into what account and what accounts represent your stockpiling money for those ad hoc or regular expenses, like kids' birthday parties, Christmas time, when your car rego is due, strata expenses, council rates, energy bills, those bills that kind of catch us out by surprise, as well as things like emergency money. Now, if you have never done a budget before, or you have done a budget before, but you struggle to stick to it, or you need help in actually building your own cash flow system, can I remind you that I have the Sugar Mama Budget and Cash Flow Academy. This is where I teach you how to do a budget. I give you all the tools and resources and templates to build your own, but then those templates help you build the cash flow system. That it gives you the exact instructions as to how much money goes into what accounts and how to actually track your expenses throughout the year in a proactive way, so that when, for example, Christmas time comes, you've got $2,000 ready there to spend on all the things that you want to at that time of the year. Now, that cash flow course, it's called the Sugar Mama Budget and Cash Flow Academy, actually includes a one-on-one Zoom session with me where we can spend up to an hour, if needed, going through absolutely everything, looking at your expenses and seeing if we can find any additional saving ideas. And of course, includes workbook, videos, podcast, and those templates. Now, in that workbook, there are over 100 ideas to help you save money and over 100 ideas to help you hustle extra money. So I'm just going to not talk about that again, but just remind you that I am there, as well as some amazing resources to help you do your budget and cash flow. And you don't necessarily need to be a single parent, by the way, to do this. It's open to absolutely everyone. So it's linked in the podcast notes for you. All right. So now that you've done your budget, you've built your cash flow system, let's move on to step number 3, your financial stock take. This is where we start your point of change. So to do a financial stock take, we need to document absolutely everything. Your assets, which includes savings, emergency savings, superannuation, any investments that you might have like shares, bonds, term deposits, investment properties, and of course, a property that you might own, such as the family home. You also need to document your liabilities, credit card debt, buy now, pay later, any legal fees that are outstanding, mortgages, investment loans, margin loans, all of those financial commitments that you have in your life, including car leases and car repayments. You also need to document in your financial stock take your income sources. How much money do you earn through your salary? Let's write down the net figures here so we're getting crystal clear. We're not setting ourselves up for failure. We also need to write down any child support or spousal support that we're potentially entitled to or are entitled to, that we've got confirmation from a lawyer and from our spouses or ex-partners. Of course, any government benefits and any side hustle money that you potentially have going on in your life right now. Now, I will admit this is confronting and it is at times a little bit overwhelming and can fill you with anxiety. But here is the exciting part. This is your starting point. And from here, everything can grow for you. I want you to think about this like planting a seed, say a seed to grow a fruit tree. Right now, that seedling might feel and look really small when you're looking at your financial stock take, but that's okay. I still want you to go ahead and plant it. And over time, I want you to trust me as you nurture it with giving that seedling sunlight, the right amount of water, you protect it from pests, you make sure that you've planted it in that fertile soil, which of course is your healthy new mindset. This will expand. This seedling will sprout and start to grow. And over time, it will thrive and give you an abundant supply of healthy, nutritious fruit. So this is the equivalent of giving your finances the right financial strategies through getting good quality advice from a licensed financial planner, of course, and educating yourself, making intelligent, proactive decisions with your money that are in alignment to your goals, your short-term goals, your medium-term goals, and your long-term goals, learning how to do things efficiently with your money. Also, by doing a financial stock take and correctly documenting your financial starting point, you're also creating a really powerful source of motivation in your life. You see, every time you check back in to that financial stock take and see how far you've come since starting, and whether it's growing your savings balance or paying down debt or even just simply increasing your super, you are going to feel an incredible sense of progress, self-worth, confidence, faith, and hope in your life, which a lot of single parents need to help keep them going. And of course, this is going to help you become so much better at being patient. Those frustrating times when you're looking at that seedling thinking, I planted you, I haven't seen anything yet, I haven't seen any sprout. By tracking your progress, you will know it's happening. The roots go down deep first before it starts to sprout. So never forget that. So I want to remind you, stock take isn't necessarily just about the numbers. It is about seeing your financial future take shape, reshape in real time. And again, if you are looking at this financial stocktake like that ceiling looking really small and low, you can take a huge amount of comfort and pride knowing that it is going to get better from this point going forward. Step number 4, super. The key to long-term financial independence. I need to be honest with you. A lot of people get tempted to completely neglect their super, particularly in stressful times like a separation, a divorce, or becoming a single parent. A lot of women retire in poverty because they don't prioritize their super, and they don't prioritize their super soon enough. I'm not going to bore you or make you disturbed by the statistics, but please know it is frightening. But I am here to serve you the truth because I genuinely care about you and your financial future. So please know that your super is your key to true financial independence. You will never regret hearing this and taking this seriously. Superannuation means that when you retire, you do not have to rely on anyone else. Not your children, not the government, not a partner or a future partner or a previous partner. You will have your own source of financial security, but you've got to pay attention, nurture it, and care for it in the right type of way today. Do not delay. So here is what I would do if I was starting from scratch. Number 1 is obviously check my superannuation account balance. I would look at exactly how much I have, making sure that there's no missing superannuation floating around in cyberspace, and it's very easy to do a quick search. But I would also go and check and see, where is my superannuation money invested? Remember, your superannuation isn't a savings account. It is an investment portfolio that is locked for your long-term benefit. So have a look at where it is invested and think about doing a risk profile and getting some advice if you need to make changes. A lot of people end up in the default balance fund, and if you are a balanced investor, that might be right for you. But you may do a risk profile and realize, actually, I'm not a balanced investor. I'm a growth investor or high growth. That is when you need to get advice and look at potential changes to that money to help make sure that it grows as efficiently as possible for you. Number 2 within super, work backwards. Have a think about what you want to retire on. How much money do you need per year? And you should know how much you need because you've done your budget. So if your living expenses were, say, $50,000 a year or $60,000 a year, you know that you need at least that, because you potentially have to factor in some income tax as well, to be able to retire under your current lifestyle. You also want to think about, at what age do I want to retire? And how long do I expect my retirement to go for? You know, the current life expectancy for a woman is around about 85. So if you're retiring at age 65, you need at least 20 years worth of living expenses available to you so that you don't run out of money. And that's under today's medical technology. My advice is to think about maybe estimating, say, a 30 or even a 35-year retirement plan. You've got to work backwards, and there are some brilliant superannuation account calculators on the Sugar Mama website, as well as I strongly recommend using the Noel Whittaker retirement calculators as well. The combination of the two will give you a really good idea. And of course, when you've got that, you can start thinking about what additional voluntary contributions do I need to start thinking about and getting advice on to help make sure that I get to that figure. I want to give you a quick example to help get you started and realizing exactly how much money you need to be thinking about you need in super to be financially independent as a single parent. So I ran some numbers recently for a keynote event that I did around financial literacy for a corporate. And I looked at how much would someone need if they want to retire on $60,000 per annum in today's dollars in 20 years' time, ensuring that that money lasted 25 years. Now, as a very rough guide, you would need in excess of $1.4 million in super if you want to retire on $60,000 in today's figures. So if you're thinking, oh, I only need about $600,000 or $800,000, can I get you to stop right there and actually go and check your numbers and run them? It is most likely you're going to need in excess of $1 million in superannuation. So the sooner you get started, the easier this is going to be to get there. Next thing I want to talk to you about within the conversation of superannuation is thinking about real estate versus super. Now, for many single parents, in particular single mums, owning a home is a very important financial goal to them. And I understand this completely. And this was something that was really important to me because it provided a sense of security and stability for my son, Rocco. But here's the dilemma, and a question that I recommend you ask yourself if you're in this position right now. If you were to pour all of your resources into home ownership, are you honestly going to have enough superannuation in order to be able to fund your retirement and your required retirement lifestyle? If you own a home, but you have no passive income to live off, how are you going to afford to live once you stop working? And to take this conversation even further, because I care about you, can you honestly say that you're going to be able to pay off that home in time before you actually retire? And more importantly, still give yourself enough time to make sure you've got enough money in superannuation. Most banks put people on a 30-year mortgage term. So if you are, say, 40 or in your mid-40s and you're looking at buying a home and taking out a mortgage, that mortgage is most likely going to be on 30 years. So will you have paid your mortgage off by age 75? This is the question I want you to ask yourself. And if you are comfortable working until age 75, at age 75, are you going to have enough money in superannuation? Are you going to have in excess of $1.4 million in superannuation, if not more? You need to sit down and think about this carefully before you sign the dotted line. And of course, this is when you always go and get financial advice from a licensed financial planner. And for some, renting whilst prioritizing their super and of course investing along the way in combination for those long-term cash flow purposes may in fact be a far better option than buying a home and taking 30 years to then pay it off, to then realize you've got barely anything in super and of course zero investments to fall back on. You never want to be in a situation where you are forced to maybe sell down the home in order to be able to live off. I want you to have the best of both worlds. I want you to have the freedom, security, and stability of a passive income. And if you're in a position where you can actually afford to do both, that is pay off the home and build up your super and maybe even invest as well, brilliant. I'm so glad you stopped at this point and checked that before you made those decisions. And I want to say this. Whilst I kept in the family home and I bought my share of the family home from my previous partner, this isn't about pushing you from one decision to the other. It's actually about encouraging you to stop for a second and think long term and to help make sure that you're ensuring whatever choice you make aligns with your desires for financial independence throughout retirement. I never want you to have any regrets. Step 5. Financial goal setting time. So this is the exciting part. So now that we've got a really clear mindset, we have a really good understanding of what we spend. And of course, we understand the importance of superannuation that needs to be a part of our financial independence strategy as a single parent. Let's focus on sinking our teeth into some exciting, empowering goals. What do you want in your life? What is important to you? Is it having a home that you own outright? Is it building passive income and, creating that financial freedom for yourself and your family? Or maybe it's something really simple right now, like having a nice amount of money sitting in savings for your peace of mind. Write absolutely everything that you want down. Think of it as a wish list if you want. So your imagination can go wild and you can park any of those, negative self-doubt moments to the side. Think of it as like a wish list for Santa when it comes to finances. Write everything, both big and small, down. And of course, include those really important things like having family holidays, being able to help pay for education for your children perhaps, or even your own education if you're looking at changing your career path or want to take your career to the next level. Also think about those expenses, like, upgrading cars and appliances, and maybe even you might have a desire to help pay for your children's wedding costs, or maybe even help your children get into the property market. Write absolutely everything down. I don't want it floating around in your head like a dream or a wish. I want it written down so we can start forming some powerful goals around what you truly want. What is your heart really calling you? Now, when you start having goals in your life, it gives you an incredible sense of direction and an amazing rush of motivation. And of course, this then helps you decide what you want to prioritize when it comes to making financial decisions. And once you've set your goals, you need to then look at aligning a deadline to each one of those goals that you've written down from your Santa wish list. But I want you to take it one step further. When you look at those goals, you may naturally feel a sense of overwhelm. Think, oh my God, that's ridiculous. How could I ever get $2 million into super? How could I ever go and buy my dream home? How could I ever possibly start investing? Don't let that happen. I want you to look at that goal and know that that is the end picture. That is the game that we're going to work towards. We're going to hold that as the prize. We're then going to work backwards by creating lots of smaller, mini, bite-sized goals to help make this happen and help this happen in an achievable way where you're empowered and you get started straight away. I want to quickly remind you about the $1,000 project. The $1,000 project is where I built a $300,000 diversified share portfolio, which is still going today, literally $1,000 at a time. Now, if I set out to myself, okay, Canna, you're going to be building a $300,000 investment portfolio, I wouldn't have felt empowered. I would have felt terrified, overwhelmed, and just, I wouldn't have believed in myself. But I didn't do that. I said to myself, can I just focus on coming up with $1,000 at a time? And the moment you have $1,000, immediately go and invest it into some Australian shares. And then go back to ground one, start all over again and come up with your next $1,000. And then when you have that $1,000, go and invest it again. Now that is exactly what I did. I never took $1 out of my base salary. I never took $1 out of my savings. Of course, yes, I reinvested the dividends all the way through. But this is the power of taking a big, scary goal and then dissecting it, breaking it down into lots of mini short-term goals so that you can get started, start seeing progress, and allow the power of compounding interest to work its magic for you and help you along the way, which makes it obviously a hell of a lot easier. You can do this for yourself. And of course, I'm going to link both Mindful Money and the $1,000 project in my podcast notes for you, so you can have a go at doing this for yourself if you're interested. Step number 6, we need to go back to that budget that we did, and we need to now review it, and we need to look at cutting expenses where and if appropriate. Trim the fat, I like to say. So as you go through each bill that you wrote down, each expense, I want you to stop and question it. Is there something you can do to alter it, to cut it down or cut it out? Can you make switches? Can you switch to a more affordable energy provider, for example? Can you negotiate a better deal or alter your subscription or services? Can you cancel anything? Can you do more planning and preparation around what you do with your life to help avoid having to waste money? For example, can you catch public transport instead of maybe catching a cab or driving and having to spend lots of money on petrol? Can you do meal prepping, for example, to help reduce costs? Start getting creative. As I want to remind you, in the Sugar Mama Budget and Cash Flow Academy, there are over 100 different ideas to help you save money in so many different areas of your life. Every dollar, though, that you can free up from doing your budget, I want you to proactively redirect towards one of those goals, or if you like, all of those goals. I do not want you to become victim of a lifestyle creep, and I do not want you to find that you save $20 a month here to then go and spend that $20 on something else. Temptation is wild, particularly with social media and, just the world that we live in right now. Whether we try and avoid ads, we get served ads all the time. So I want you to make every single dollar that you can cut out of your budget count. And I want it to go towards helping you get back on your feet financially and rebuild as a single parent. Now, for example, say one of my goals is to build up, $50,000 emergency money. And I go through my budget and I discover $150 that I can cut out of my budget per month. I want to replace that immediately, and I want to make it as easy as possible with so many things that I've got to juggle right now. I would go and replace that with an automatic $150 per month savings plan, where $150 comes out of my everyday account into that special emergency savings account, which is obviously linked to my $50,000 goal. I would also go and nickname that emergency savings account my emergency savings account, and I would put that figure of $50,000 in as a nickname against that account, so that every time I logged into my internet banking, I was continuously reminded as to what my goal is and where that money is up to, and feel proud that I'm making a change in my life. I'm doing things differently. I'm doing things better. Trust me on this. It is so important that you do not go and spend that money elsewhere. You want to redirect like a traffic control director, where every single new dollar actually goes in your life. Step number 7, protecting yourself properly. Now, this is an area that a lot of people overlook and completely underestimate, but it is so critical. If something was to happen to you from a medical perspective, how would you and your children be financially protected? What I'm talking about here is what personal insurances do you have in place on top of emergency money, on top of sick leave or annual leave that you might have accumulated? What do you have to make sure that you can continue on putting food on the table, paying the rent, paying the mortgage, making sure that you can maintain some sort of lifestyle? What do you have in place? Now, this is where the conversations around income protection insurance come in. Making sure that if you can't work due to a medical reason, an insurance company will pay you up to 75% of your income until you can return back to work or until an agreed age, such as age 65. What about total and permanent disablement? If you were to become paralyzed and can't work, what can you do? What can you fall back on? These are the things that you look at a large lump sum that helps put your family into a home without a mortgage. Trauma cover. What would happen if you were to be diagnosed with a serious illness like a stroke or cancer diagnosis? Some people can actually return to work and actually want to work when they're sick because it's a form of distraction. But they're still left with the medical bills and they still have to make major changes to their lifestyle. They might have recovery and rehabilitation expenses. This is where trauma insurance comes in. You have got to go and get some advice around this to make sure that you protect your family. And I understand that as a single parent, money is most often tight, but some of these expenses, these policies, can actually be owned and paid for via super. So it actually is a lot more affordable than you think. And there are things you can do to tweak and change existing policies so that you don't need to run the risk of cancelling cover, because that's something I would never recommend. But again, this is the importance of speaking to a financial planner and getting them to review those policies, make some calls on your behalf and see what can be done to make them more budget friendly, but most importantly, to make sure you are properly protected to the best of your ability. And as I said, this goes beyond emergency money. This goes beyond annual leave and sick leave. Of course, yes, those things help, but you need long-term protection. And this is where the value of personal insurance comes in. So please make sure you touch on this, you get advice, and you think about what you've got. And if you're wondering, do I have these policies? Yes, I do. I took these out when I was in my early 20s, and I still have them today, even though I'm not a single parent, because I have other financial responsibilities in my life, and I never want to be a financial burden to my children or my partner, Tom. Okay, so now you have it. 7 steps. What I would do personally if I was starting all over again as a single parent from scratch. And I will say this, my superannuation would be a bigger priority than investing, particularly as someone who's approaching their mid-40s. So I'm going to quickly recap these points with you. Number 1, mindset. Investing time in your mindset, writing down those blessings, shifts you, helps you snap out of fear and puts you into a place of empowerment. Number 2, doing a budget, but more importantly, building a cash flow system that's in alignment to your budget will give you the clarity, but also will give you the direction for your money so that you are never living paycheck to paycheck. You proactively have money set up for when you need it. Number 3, financial stock take. This is your starting point and things are only going to grow from here. Step number 4. Prioritizing your superannuation. If you couldn't tell, I'm really passionate about this. That is obviously ensuring your long-term financial independence. Promise me you will not put this off. Number 5, setting clear goals. I want you to define what success looks like for you. Money loves definition and clarity, so give those goals so much detail and enjoy the process of doing your goals. It's exciting. You learn a lot about yourself. Number 6, trimming the fat, looking at those expenses strategically, and most importantly, redirecting every single saving that you discover in reviewing your budget towards your financial future. That is, those goals that you listed from step number 5. And of course, step number 7, protect. Protect yourself with personal insurance. Of course, yes, emergency money. Yes, making sure that you've got other passive income sources if you're able and in a situation where you can invest. But I want to make sure that you secure yourself for your children. Now, to remind you, becoming a single parent is scary, it's daunting. I've been there, I have gone through it. But I'm so glad I went through it because I've come out stronger, wiser, and smarter. And this journey for you right now is not about perfection, it's about progress. Finding yourself, finding the strength within to get back on your feet again, because you can do this, you will do this. And I want you to enjoy the process. Every decision that you make today brings you closer to sexy, powerful financial independence. I know myself that each dollar that came off my mortgage, each month that I got through on my own, on my paycheck alone as a single parent helped me actually see the light again and made me realize that actually I can do this. I can do this on my own because I'm doing it on my own. I did this work and it most definitely paid off, not just financially, but emotionally and mentally and spiritually as well. And I look back with so much pride. And I do look back and go, wow, I can't believe I got through that. I don't know how I got through that, but I got through that because I had no other choice but to do it. And I know Rocco is so proud of me and so proud of what we did. And I believe I set a really great example for him and was a great role model for him at the time. So if this episode today resonated with you, please make sure that you share it with any other single parents, both mums and dads, who need a little bit of help, guidance, motivation, and encouragement right now. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening to Sugar Mama's Fireplay. Of course, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, let me know what other topics you'd like me to talk about, and I will see you next Monday morning. And in the meantime, promise me you will keep that financial fire burning bright within. This is Sugar Mama's Fireplay.